Yes, let's make it happen. Like Sheri was saying, this is Facebook in the dorm room. This is Google in the garage. You guys have an opportunity to co-create and essentially just make something truly special. And this will 100% be a billion-dollar company. How do I know that? Many of the people who I partnered up with, we helped grow a company to $1 billion a year. We helped grow a company to over 7 million members worldwide. And right now, we're in 65 plus countries worldwide. And we have a lot of exciting things happening, guys. You also, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole with this, but you will also have an opportunity to have ownership in this company, which is also really incredible because we own our training system, the field of brand ambassadors. It's a field owned training platform. So our company, Good Life Trainings, that host all of the seminars and conferences and all of this amazing stuff, you have the ability to be an owner within that company and also Viago itself. So that's what really excited my wife and I to get this business kicked off with literally within the first the first 5 weeks of the company. We accomplished what took 5 years to do in our first company. We did in 5 weeks with Viago. And the reason that that's the case is because we understand the numbers. We're professionals in this. We do understand the most effective way to go about this. And I want to share with you guys exactly what that actually looks like. For those of you who are ready to launch your business, we are February 1st. We are 90 days away from our Amplify event. My recommendation is go on a 90-day run. There's just something special about going on a 90-day run with this industry, and I want to explain a little bit on what that looks like. And if you're new, don't feel any pressure whatsoever to go at this pace. But this is really for the people who are excited to kick off the next 90 days leading into our Amplify event. So there are a few things that I want to share with you in terms of what's worked for me over the years, what has been beneficial, what has been the best way to sort of shorten the process, because many people oftentimes it takes them a little bit longer than they would like because they don't necessarily go about the business in a way that's most conducive for results. Okay, so with that being said, if you are new, if let's just say you're hopping on and you're just a fly on the wall and you're kind of on the fence on whether or not you want to give this a shot, my recommendation is this: keep this business super simple. It's the KISS concept, right? Keep it super simple. And with this business model, my recommendation, if you're new, start out with a list of 20 people. That is the very first thing. I don't overwhelm people with 200, 300, 400 people when they're just getting started. Also, if you're signing up someone who's new, you also don't want to overwhelm them by having them write down a list of hundreds and hundreds of names, because most people are not going to do what it takes to go through that many names. So start out with your very best 20. And that can be what we call your hot market. And your hot market are people that you're essentially doing life with. So there are three types of prospects. You have the hot market, you have the warm market, and then you have the cold market. Okay. Sometimes warm can be there can be a subcategory of lukewarm, right? But you have cold market people who you don't essentially you don't really know them. You may have met them in the grocery store and you just now met them. And cold market, it can be a really good way to go about the business. But from my personal experience, cold market typically is slow market because it takes a lot longer. You have to go through way more people in order to get the same results that you would get with, let's just say, hot market or warm market. Okay, so hopefully this is making sense so far. Now, with your top 20 list, my recommendation is look through your last 50 text messages. Look through your last 50 direct messages on social media. That'll show you who you've been connected with the most. Secondly, look at people who've been engaging with your content. So you may have posted something on Facebook, on Instagram, and you have people who like your content, who comment on your content. And for those of you who are, let's just say practitioners of social media, and you post up stories, Instagram stories, Facebook stories, you can actually see the people who are watching your stories consistently. So this is a great way to go about your list, and that'll give you way more than what you need for your top 20. Now, if you have the capacity, or if you have the willingness to write out a list of more than 20, by all means, go for it. But why do I recommend 20? You see, my formula for when I bring people in is get 20 people onto the webinar. So and Sheri, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but would you say that it's safe to say if someone brings 20 people onto a webinar, the likelihood of them getting their six like is a lot higher? Would you say 20? Like if they just bring in six, they're probably not going to get their six, right?
Giving you thumbs up. You're exactly right.
Exactly. So Sheri knows that if her new person connects her with about 20 people onto these Zoom presentations, think about it. If you're connecting with your hot market, you may sign up 15, you may sign up three. But let's just say on average, you're getting anywhere from 4 to 6 people on board. You're not going to get everyone, and that's okay. Remember this concept. It's called Sinaloa. Sinaloa is an acronym that means safety in numbers and law of averages. That's what Sinaloa stands for, safety in numbers and law of averages. So if you just respect the numbers and you don't have any emotional attachment to the outcome, remember this concept of SW, some will, some won't, so what? Next. That's the way you go about it. Too many people get emotionally involved and they make it about them. And that'll be one of the fastest ways to sabotage the business if you make it about you. Make it about your family and friends. Make it about their dreams. Make it about their goals. Make it about their deepest desires. And if you do that, then you'll take a lot of the focus off of you and you won't be as emotionally attached to the outcome. And I love the saying that you want to be patient with the outcome, but impatient with the activity. Patient with the outcome, impatient with the activity. So that's the main thing, right? You have to get people in front of the information. That is the bread and butter to how you build success here in Viago. Now, another thing is you want to be a product of the product. It only makes sense to utilize the products. And there's so many different ways to utilize the product, whether it's the online shopping mall. You don't have to wait to a trip to actually utilize the membership. You can utilize the membership the very first 24 hours of coming on board. Go book a movie ticket with it. Go on restaurants.com through our website. You can save money in so many ways. That way you have a story. That way you have something that you can actually share with people on, in terms of a benefit of this. So you have to be a product of the product. And I love the idea of attraction marketing because what happens is when people see you on these trips, when they see you around the community, when they see you going to training events and everything like that, a lot of the people that you showed early on, those people tend to come back when they actually see you vacationing. Because unfortunately, most people have this, I have to see it to believe it mentality. And as you can only imagine, that's not the mentality that's going to bring you success. However, people oftentimes do think like that. So that's why it is essential to book your very first trip. Now, next up, I want to recommend this, and that is to go to all of the training events. Take my word for it. Just go to every single training event, try it out for a year, and see the effect that it has on you. You see, there are two important days in your Viago career. The day you get into Viago and the day Viago gets into you. And it's simply not going to truly come alive in you until you actually see these big events and you witness it and you experience it and you embody just everything. Like Sheri spoke to you about the electricity that was filled in the room, and I can't sonic boom you guys here on this webinar. It's not going to be, I promise you, it's not going to be the same effect. So you guys have to experience it, come out and feel the energy, feel the love, and that's when Viago will truly come into you. And big decisions happen at big events. I can't tell you time and time again where my wife and I, we just made a decision at an event and we said, you know what, this is our time. So go to all of the events. Also, I want to just mention this as well. We have exclusive training called the Inner Circle. So I didn't mention it on the presentation for the sake of time, but for those of you who are on here, my recommendation is get access to the Inner Circle. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they have a 1-month trial. And after that, it's about $20 a month. If you guys don't mind, drop a comment on the link that people can sign up for the Inner Circle with. And the Inner Circle is phenomenal because it's Drive Time University. It's like when you go off to work, and it's personal development is going to be such a foundational part of this journey. And remember this: garbage in, garbage out, greatness in, greatness out. Two thoughts can't occupy the mind simultaneously. So if you're flooding your mind with the positivity, with the knowledge, with the inspiration, then you're not going to have as much anxiety about what's going on in the world because you're so excited, so passionate. You have to stay around the campfire. And one of the best ways you can stay around the campfire is by this concept of kanai, constant and never-ending improvement. You want to always be intentional about filling up your mind, because as the old cliche saying goes, if you empty your wallet on your mind will fill your wallet. And so those are some of the first things that I will say. Get familiar with the website, look up a trip. Even if you're not ready to book the trip, I find that it's super valuable to be able to just at least pick a trip and let your family member and friend know, hey, this is the trip that I'm considering going on. Right? Just find something on there. And if they ask, like, hey, I'd like to see some of these trips, you can pull up your website and say, hey, I saw this trip in Thailand. I'm actually considering this trip later on this year. You should join us, right? And you'd be amazed by how many people sign up just because they're excited to go on a trip. Okay, so I also want to open up the floor. If you guys have any questions, you can drop the questions in. I'm not sure if we have a Q&A box. If not, you can drop the questions in the chat box, because I definitely don't want to leave any stones unturned here. I want to provide you guys with as much value as possible. So if there are any questions, business building questions, of course, not questions about what's going on with corporate, business building questions, that maybe you need some advice on a specific inviting strategy or something like that. That's really what we would like to answer here. Okay, so now someone asked, how do I go about my close? So when I close prospects, so let's say you guys just invited someone and you haven't spoken to them since they watched the information, and you're going to give them a call. And the way that I close my prospects or my family, my friends, is I'll say something along the lines of, hey, Kathy, as soon as it's done, Kathy, pretty cool, right? And I'm there and I'm, giving the head nod because it is pretty cool. And Kathy's like, yeah, that was amazing. And I said, I always say, which aspect did you like best? Okay, the travel or the business side? And that's the way I go about it. Which aspect did you like best? The travel or the business side? And Kathy may say something like both, or she may say the travel, right? Or even just the business. And the moment she answers that, then you know that there's interest there. Because if she had no interest, she'll just say, yeah, I'm kind of good on this. Like, I'll pass. And that's okay as well. So let's just say Kathy, she's a very fun-loving person, or she's just very fun, outgoing. Maybe she's a party person. And then I'm going to say something along the lines of, so Kathy, you ready to join us on the beaches of the world or what? Right now, some people may ask, are you ready to get started? You can. There's nothing wrong with that. That has worked since millennium. It's always has worked. But I like to humanize my selling tactics as much as possible. And for me, it just feels a lot more organic and natural for me to just say something like, so you ready to join us on the beaches of the world or what? With a big smile on my face. And Kathy's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Let's get you plugged in. It takes less than 5 minutes. And that's how I would close someone who's, let's just say, what we call blue personality types. Blue personality types, they want to travel all around party all around the world, right? So they love having fun. They're the life of the party. Yeah, I see we got some blues with Sean there. So secondly, we have what you call the yellow personality types. And these are the people who want to save the world. These are the tree-hugging kumbaya people. And we got to love us some yellows, right? Like, this is the person that has the heart to serve, that's always there, wearing their heart on their sleeve. And the yellows, I'll close them by saying, so you ready to change some lives or what? You ready to change the world or what? Right? Like, that's how I like to close for a yellow. Sometimes a yellow, like, if you're like, are you ready to get started? They may, just feel a little like cringe. It may be a bit cringe for them to just, for you being so direct. So I say, hey, you ready to change some lives or what? And that's the way that I talk to my friends. Okay. And for the green personality types, now, I always say for these people, you can be very direct. So are you ready to get started? I feel that close is specifically for greens, because greens, they don't like ambiguity. You know, greens like for you to be very direct. So you could very well just say, are you ready to get started to a green? And they appreciate you keeping it real. And then for the reds, reds are money-making people. Reds like are the aggressive people. Reds are the red Ferrari people, right? And red personality types, you want to talk money. So like for me, I'm like, you ready to get this money or what? You ready to make this money? You ready to make some, build some wealth or what? And that's the way that I talk to my friends or my prospects who are red personality types. And typically the way you can know what personality type someone is it can be their body language. It can be their tonality. It can be their clothing. It can be the way they communicate. There's a lot of ways to really tell. So, for example, if someone has a big old colorful afro, right? They're probably a blue. That's not a green move right there. It's not green aesthetics, you know. So yeah, the greens are not going to rock the afro. I'm just letting it be known right now, or at least a colorful one, right? So now, if you know someone with the big, colorful hoop earrings, right, or people who are like, back in the day, you had the hippies era in the '60s. The greens are probably not going to do the tie-dye shirt. That's like a blue thing. Or if you're a yellow save the world person, you probably were down with that too. So greens tend to be a little bit more on the conservative side, and I identify as a red-green personality type. So yeah, we're not like too loud, right? And if you're a red though, reds like the finer things. Reds are gonna wear the Gucci, the Louis, the big old watch like Muzaffar, right? Like that real alpha energy, and that's cool too. So you can very well again identify people's colors based off of just appearance. Remember, over 90% of communication is not even what comes out of your mouth. It's the body language, it's the tonality, it's the vibe, it's all of that stuff. So you can really, really identify where someone is, and also just by the way they speak with you. So if you have someone who's a little bit softer and a little bit more mellow, you don't want to bring your aggressive energy on them. You meet them where they are. In the world of sales, it's called modeling, or mirroring. You want to mirror their energy, their vibe. And I find that a lot of people, they're just super aggressive with the way they go about their sales process. And remember, you want to humanize your selling tactics. Now, I will say this. People oftentimes want to sign their people up based off of the way they signed up. So never forget that. And the reason why I mention that is because if you keep it simple and you invite people to come onto a webinar and they see how simple it is. Do not complicate it. Do not try to do a presentation after the presentation, because in their mind, now they feel that they have to do it like that as well. And over 90% of the population are freaked out by sales. That's a big reason why I always tell people in my presentations that if you don't like sales, this business is perfect for you because you bring your guests and we do the rest. You're overwhelming your people by saying too much. And in their mind, they're thinking that they have to do it like that. So in this business, less is more. Less is more. Okay. Anything in particular you guys want me to cover? I'm here to serve y'all. And you got me for another 15 minutes or so. If you want to utilize the 15 minutes, by no means, I mean, if you don't want to, it's all good, but I'm letting y'all know I'm willing to give you another 15 minutes. If there's anything in particular you guys would like to cover. And also, Sheri, if anything comes to mind, I would love to be of service to your community as well.
Thank you so much. And Josh, someone posted that, what do you say to somebody that maybe you haven't talked to in a long time, since high school? How do you approach that person?
Yeah. So that's what we call the lukewarm market. And the lukewarm market, you may have not spoken to them in 10 months, 10 years, whatever. And what I typically do first and foremost, I'll like or comment on one of their posts. Why do I do that? Because when I do reach out to them, I don't want them thinking that it's a spam message. Most of these people, you probably haven't spoken to them since Clinton was in office, right? So it's been a while, and they're in their mind, you have to put yourself in the person's shoes. Like, okay, this is either a spam message or this person is like low key kind of hitting on me, right? Like they're trying to come on to me. Like there are people, unfortunately, that they operate that way on social media. So oftentimes I call the elephant out immediately. I'm commenting on their family. So if they have a wife or they have, a significant other, I'll say something like, you have such a beautiful family. That way I'm clearing the air that I am not reaching out. I am not reaching out to, let's just say, someone and they're thinking that it's a dating or situation or anything like that. And I'm making it very clear on exactly why I'm reaching out to them, and I oftentimes, in the message, I'll say, hey, Barbara, how's everything going? How's life been since our high school days? And I'll send out that initial message. I customize it to the person that I'm reaching out to because I want them to know that this is not a spam message. You understand? And Barbara may say something like, things have been great, Josh. How's everything going? You have such a beautiful family, and when the second message, I'm going to just call the elephant out in the room. And many times I like to use voice notes because, again, I want to humanize my selling tactics. You do not have to use a voice note. For years, we didn't even have access to voice notes, but today we do. And I do that just so that I can, again, humanize the whole process. So I'll say, hey, Barbara, I know you're probably wondering why in the world is Josh reaching out to me so random? And the reason is because back in October, I actually launched a brand new company with a bunch of business partners of mine, and we're expanding in 65 countries worldwide. And I've always known you to be a super ambitious person. I've always known you to be a very business-minded person. And honestly, I'd love the opportunity to share with you what I have going on. And it may or may not be for you, but it's definitely worth checking out. Worst case scenario, you may know someone who can potentially benefit from it. Okay. So the reason why I do the takeaway is because for some people, when you mention business, in their mind, if they don't have any access to capital right then and there, they're thinking, they may think tens of thousands of dollars or them coming in as an investor. They have all of these preconceived notions about what it is that you're saying. I don't really go into like travel because in their mind, again, they may not have the money to travel or the money to travel. So I just let them know. I'm very straightforward and I'm letting them know that I just launched a brand new company with a few business partners of mine. We're expanding, and I've just been reaching out to people that I've done life and business with over the years, people that I'm connected with on social media. Would love to run the information by you. Worst case scenario, you may know somebody who can potentially benefit from it. And that's my approach. There's 1,000 ways to score a goal here. And, there's no obligation to have to do it that way. But that's my preferred method. So I just wanted to share that for you guys. And I wanted to cater to the new person as well. In terms of, so we have a simple checklist to get your new person started as well. Okay. So my checklist is jump on a Zoom with them as soon as they sign up. Go over their list with them, set up your first appointment, first 48 hours. That's law in this profession. You have to do first 48 hours because after those first 48 hours, you're gonna the motivation just diminishes by the day. I don't know why it is, but the birds are gonna get them. It's like it's just how the world works, and it's okay. So you want to get them going while they're the most excited within the first 48 hours. So you set up out of the list of 20, you do their first launch, and it can be on Zoom, it can be in person, a lot of ways to go about that. So after you write the list, show them how the website works. So you want them to see value because remember, most of the times we're not dealing with tangible products initially. So people come in for a membership, but they don't have anything they can tangibly feel. So you don't want them getting freaked out when they wake up in the morning like, oh my goodness, what did I just spend 500 bucks on, right? Like, so get them a little acclimated to our website and how it works and how to navigate through it, all of the value that they get and things like that. That way they feel good about their purchase. Okay. And you want to get something on the books. Remember the concept BAM fam, book a meeting from a meeting. BAM fam will make you a lot of money in this business because every time you have a meeting, your mindset should be, okay, when is the next meeting going to happen? My entire business is systemized Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. like clockwork. That's when we do our presentations. And we have at least one big webinar every single day. And then when we're not doing that, we have other two-on-ones and all kinds of, personal prospecting going on. Okay, so hopefully this subtle checklist makes sense. And the last thing I'll say is get them registered for the next national event if they have the financial means to do so. If they don't have the financial means to do so, put together a plan to get them registered for the next Amplify event. That is absolutely essential, and you have to have that mindset, because one of the things that I've learned in this profession is that promoting national events is by far one of the highest paying skills in this industry. You know, why is that? Because again, big decisions happen at big events. These events are leadership factories. So they're essentially helping people grow and see the vision and develop their skill sets. And that's why it's important to bring them to events. And I remember learning from a mentor years ago that typically your business is going to grow in direct proportion to the amount of people you have at a national event. And the way you quantify the process is for every person that you have at a national, think of it like every person equates to about $1,000 in income for the year. So if you want to make $10,000 for the year, have 10 people come to the event. If you want to make $100,000 for the year, have 100 people come to the event. Simple as that. Again, if you understand the numbers, this business will be a lot better. You go from amateur to professional, and you'll have a lot more fun doing this business. I can assure you that. So yes, hopefully that makes sense. And someone asked, okay, Sheri mentioned that if someone can someone commit to 1 to 4 hours a week to do a 90-day run? Absolutely. Absolutely. For those of you who are ready to go on this 90-day run, my recommendation is get a running buddy. Sheri, have you ever had a running? I would assume you've probably had a few running buddies throughout your career. Do you mind just sharing your experience on maybe personal runs that you've gone on with running buddies or just teammates who were locked into, let's just say, some type of 90-day run?
Absolutely. You know what? I love having a running buddy because to me, it's accountability. And it's so easy to get caught up in life. I'm guilty because the minute I signed up in Viago, my husband went in the hospital with double pneumonia. And I had Mazaffer calling me and cheering me on no matter what. You know, he kept me, you know, with dealing with family and everything that's going on. And all of us have busy lives. But the accountability really, you know, having somebody send you a message in the morning or send a great, you know, quote or something like that to keep you going. We all need a running buddy. And so find somebody that's going to motivate you and keep you accountable. And for a 90-day run, just, I mean, Josh, you know, you have put together, I mean, what you've done, you know, and I would love for you to share with the, you know, get 100 no's, you know,
Yeah,
you're get people out there not afraid of no's because we all get them. I'm getting them, you know, and a lot
absolutely.
of, to me, when somebody tells me no, I just hear not now. And,
Mhm.
and, and I wish I could take you because I have these sticky notes. I don't know if I can show you guys. I'm going to show you. I'm going to take you over to
I love it. I
my
love it.
wall. Okay. Can you guys see this?
Nice.
There are some of my not nows, but then I've got I can't, I don't know if you guys can see all that, but I've got sticky notes because I'm a blue. I want color. Like a lot of people have vision boards
I
and you know,
love
and they
that.
have, you know, their war rooms and all this. Me, I've got a rainbow here. You know, I've got all the colors and I like, you know, and I like the sticky notes because what that does is I can move them around. You know, the people that are now and ready to sign up, I've got my whole list. You know, I've got 15 front levels right now, personally enrolled people that I've sponsored. And then what I do is I take different colors for their people, and I put when they sign up somebody, because I can see it. It's in my office. It keeps me focused on, you know, I don't lose somebody, you know, because this
Yes,
for
yes.
that this get when it you start, you know, the hardest part of this business is creating momentum. It's the hardest part.
So true.
And I'm going to come back to you, Josh, and have you explain what you're doing with, you know, getting the nose, because that I started doing that. And I have a lot of people in my team that are duplicating that because that if you can get just that one thing of just going, not now. Somebody says no, not now. And then I take the sticky note and I move it over to my not now list, because
Nice.
sooner or later they're going to get in my business. It may not be this year, may not be next year, but they're going to
That's
get in
right.
my business. That's my vision. And it's my motivation. So creating momentum is the toughest part of this business. Maintaining momentum is another art. That is
So true.
keeping your team going, getting on Zoom calls. You have no idea how many I go through the whole list. I know exactly who's on this call in my team. And guess what? I've been doing texting them. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Because I'm their accountability partner
That's
until they
right.
have one. And until their team is growing, you need to be there. You need to contact them. You need to call them. You need to send them messages, because what happens is they get caught in light and you get detoured. Put them back on. And then the best part of this business is advancing momentum. And I'll tell you, that is what Josh was talking about. When you have 100 people enrolled and at a training, magic happens. I don't know what it is. I've seen
So
it
true.
over my 38 years in this industry. I've seen it over and over and over again, where you get to see the magic of just everything just starts working.
Oh
And
yeah.
you've got a team, and then it grows to 1,000 people, and and on and on and on. And I remember the first time, because I had that I was going to make $1 million in this industry in a month. And I remember the first time I made a 6-figure monthly income. And I took a breath. I was just like, before that, I just kept running. I was running so hard, and because I saw such potential, and I fell in love with helping people with personal development. And when you fall in love with that, seeing people doing better, it becomes such fun. It is the most
So true.
beautiful. And that's why why my husband and I signed up in Viago was you guys. All the people on here, if you're a guest on here, you have no idea this community. I've been in so many different companies, and I built companies up, and the owners, take away, the money and run, or they change the product, or they change the comp plan. And when I met Isaac and I got to see the owner of this company, the CEO, I took that same breath that I did when I
Yes,
when I
yes.
made $100,000 in a month. I took that breath. I went, ah, here he is. Finally, I've worked and worked and worked so many years and watched my income just go away. And I actually walked away from a company I was the top income earner in, that was making a strong 7-figure income, because of integrity. The owner was not somebody that I could work with anymore. And so that's why, for anyone that's new, you're in the right place at the right time with the right people, and I'm so excited for you to get started. And Josh, if you would
Absolutely.
share those no's, because that was brilliant, brilliant what you've done.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Love that, Sheri. I could listen to you all day. I'm like here geeking out because it's such you're a breath of fresh air, because I know you have so much experience. I mean, you're essentially more than double my age, and you mentioned your age at the beginning, so I know I can say that. But to think that you've been, and we look, you don't look that much older than me, and I'm 35 years old, and for you to have so much wisdom and just so many accolades in this profession is incredible. So it's even for me to be here in student mode is an honor. And in terms of the nose, guys, I love nose. For me, nose are like vitamins. You have to treat nose like a vitamin, and every single no, you've got to understand that every no has residual monetary value. Why is that? Because as Sheri mentioned, right? Sheri, if you don't mind sharing, how many personals did you put in when you went on that run where you got to 6 figures a month? Do you remember like roughly how many personals that you and your husband personally enrolled during that time?
Or in Viago, or
No, when you went on that run with the
um,
company that you were associated with.
I had over 20, but I've always really built deep under
Yeah,
people.
duplication.
I spend most of my time not going wide. I go deep. That's
And
been my
I
that,
love this. Same here.
That's what I do.
Same here. Absolutely. So I love this because you guys just heard, like, she didn't say 200, right? She said
Mhm.
like right around over 20. When I got to a six-figure income initially in this profession, 34 people got me into the Dallas Cowboy Stadium, Sheri in front of tens of thousands of people with 34 personals. And
Mhm.
when we got to the seven-figure level, very top of the compensation plan, that was with 55 personals. So you guys don't feel like it has to be thousands and thousands of people that you have to personally enroll. No, you don't want to be a glorified salesperson here. We're network marketers. We're not, this is not traditional sales where we build through networks. So you can do a lot with 30 personals in this business. So if Sheri, if you could mention like how many no's do you feel like you probably had to go through in order to get that first wave of personals to build that substantial business?
Okay, now I'm talking to the new person because when I'm going all the way back to the end of 1987 was when I got started
Before
in
I
this
was
industry.
born, by the
Yeah.
way.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I was actually, it was in November. And that's funny because I signed up in Viago in November. And my first 10 people that I invited to take a look at what I was doing, I was selling water filters back then. And and I wasn't a salesperson. I got 10 no's, and one of them was my mom.
Wow.
So if I wouldn't have gone for that 11th person, so if you've gotten any no's for the people that have been around, congratulations. Congratulations, because keep going, because sooner or
Absolutely.
later somebody's going to say yes. And
That's
what
right.
ended up happening was out of like I can't even count how many no's I've had in my life, but I don't hear no. I hear not now.
That's
And
right.
it's not the right time for people. So
That's
just
right.
if you can ingrain that in your soul that if somebody says no, it just means not now.
Yeah, yeah, so good, so good. And I wanted to kind of just reinforce the, just what that looked like for us on this last run because it took us 5 years to put in about let's just say 40 people, into our business when we started making significant income. And what took us 5 years to do, we essentially compressed timeframes and did it in 5 weeks. And my wife and I, the goal was to reach out to 1,000 people over the course of 90 days. And you can obviously break that down into how many people you have to reach out daily. So for us, it was about 12 people daily between the both of us. And we understood that half of them were just not even going to respond to our message. And we were okay with that. Out of the 500 or so who did respond, let's just say 300 of them actually took a look at the information. If you break it down, let's say if you sign up one out of every 10 people at your very worst, then obviously that ends up with about 30 personals. So the numbers are flawless, guys. Like just respect the numbers. And that's why I say that every no has residual monetary value because in order for us to get to this residual income, every no had value. We had to go through those 1,000 reach outs. We had to go through those quote unquote no's. And I'm also the same, Sheri. In fact, I rarely hear no. It's very rare. If you do this business the right way, you're very rarely or very seldom to hear an actual hard no. It's gotten to the point where I actually really love when people just tell me no. Like they don't beat around the bush. They're like, yeah, I'm good right now. And I love when they tell me no because I'm like, you know what? I can appreciate that because most of the times people are just like, yeah, I like it. I like to travel. I like making money. It's just right now it's not a good time. So like Sheri, we put them on a separate list. And then when we go on our next run, we're following up with them, right? Or I always get a follow-up date. So as we get ready to bring this training in for a landing here, I just wanted to share a few things. I see some people were curious about handling objections, for example. I know for many people this can be a little scary, and I'd love to explain to you how I go about my objections. And in fact, I have a 2 p.m. sign up that's about to sign up. And that person came from this 90-day run. So we're still reaping the benefits. And that person was a follow-up. You understand that person, I essentially put them on the follow-up list and that's what I do. And I have a 3 strikes and you're out. So if you give me, let's say a time frame in 2 weeks, I'll follow up in 2 weeks. I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to give you a call in 2 weeks. I'll put you on my calendar right now to follow up. That way, when I follow up, feel desperate because people smell desperation like a dog smells fear. So you never want to give needy vibes. You want to just be a professional, and professionals follow up, and the fortune is in the follow up. So this person, I'm getting ready to sign up at 2 o'clock. Again, follow up. Now, let's just say out of the people you share the information with, someone asks, is this a pyramid scheme? Let's just call it out, right? I
Mhm.
rarely get asked that, but when I do, it's always funny to me where people get very defensive. They're like, well, your job is a pyramid scheme, or your military, the church is a pyramid scheme, whatever. Like, you have people say these absurd things, and it doesn't have to be like that. Don't forget that for some people, they don't understand the correct term, network marketing. So they may very well just be replacing the term network marketing with the term pyramid. That's what they do because they don't understand the proper description of it. So don't get defensive. The very first thing I do is I ask them, well, what do you mean by that? Because last I checked, pyramid schemes are illegal. Like, what do you mean? I'm just curious. And then they're like, oh, no. I'm not saying that it's illegal. It's one of those things where you recruit people to make money, right? So now they're onto something here. And I'm saying, and then I'll just rebuttal with, oh, I think what you're referring to is actually network marketing. And if you're asking, is this network marketing? Yes and no. And why do I say yes and no? Because it just depends on how you go about the business, right? So prime example, if you just want to be a member, there's no network marketing component. If you just want to be a member and reap the benefits of travel, you're not engaging in the network marketing component. Or what if you just sell products? Or what if you don't engage in recruiting a team? Are you doing network marketing? Right? So I always explain to them that it just depends on how you go about the business. If you don't want to engage in the network marketing component, you technically don't have to be a part of this. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Now, when people say they don't have any time, just like I covered in the presentation, I say then this business is perfect for you because it's not about the amount of time you put in, it's about the amount of people you show with the little time that you have. If all you have is 1 hour a week, we can work with that, right?
Yeah.
So it's not really a valid objection. If they say, oh, it's about, because I don't have the money, well, that's perfect. What other business can you get started for less than the price of a smartphone? Right? Like this is perfect. Like, let's get you out of that situation now. We can help you make your money and profit within your first 2 weeks. Right? Like I'm so happy. I wish I came to you sooner. So if they don't have the funds, that's exactly why they should do this business. Okay, so hopefully that's making sense. And for people who are like, well, I don't like sales. Well, that's because you bring your guests and we do the rest. If you
Mhm.
want to be the person delivering the actual presentation, you technically don't have to be. So that's just the way that I handle some of those objections, and that's worked really well for me. Again, there's 1,000 ways to score a goal here, so it's completely up to you. But that person has worked for me. And one thing that I can tell you, if you conduct yourself as a professional, you're gonna hear pyramid and all of this less and less. Like I rarely hear Sheri, like, do you have a bunch of people? That's the last thing they're thinking.
Yeah.
Is like she's doing some type of scheme. Like, absolutely not. So make sure when you're out there, you're conducting yourself as a professional and you're doing okay. You don't want to, be out there giving just weird, scheme vibes, if you will. Like, you're out there scheming, go about it as a professional. Keep it as professional as possible. Always be on time because people subconsciously, if they see that you're late to your meetings or you're not following through, they're not going to want to do business with you because you're not serious. You understand? And always be mindful that the way you go about the presentation, because even with your edification, all of that stuff, they're thinking that I am going to be getting this person in front of my family, in front of my friends. So always put yourself in the new person's shoes. You want to conduct yourself in such a way where they're happy to introduce you to their family members and friends. Okay. And just to wrap up, I just wanted to mention and this is a phenomenal training, by the way, Sheri. I see we got it recorded. I feel like we're doing the field a major disservice by not like getting this out there. But I'm so happy that we got to cover so much ground here. But the last thing I'll say is just with the inviting. With the inviting guys, my recommendation is do not pretend as if you're trying to be their friend. Do not pretend as if you're trying to do life with these people, because the reality is, if you really were trying to be friends with them, you would have hit them up before this business. Like, be genuine, be authentic. Authenticity is the highest expression of self-love. Do not be the person out there just trying to mislead or deceive people and going through this whole process like, oh, how's your family? How's your kids? What do you're doing all of this stuff, and I get it if you want to build a relationship with someone that you genuinely would like to do life with, but if the main goal is to show them the damn information, go straight for the kill. Like, just get it over with. Peel the band-aid off. You're dying a death by 1,000 cuts by just prolonging the process. And next thing you know, they're inviting you to the baby shower. They're inviting you to the anniversary party there. And you just wanted to show them the business. And you're dragging, be authentic, be real. And people will appreciate you for just keeping it real. Don't be afraid to just be straight up with people on what exactly intentions, and people will appreciate you as a professional for doing so. So that's my approach, and that's my recommendation when it comes to just inviting people. Okay, so I hope you guys got value from this. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure for me to come on here and serve you guys here this afternoon. Sheri, thank you so much. I look forward to hearing a lot more from you, over the years, and I'm so honored and humbled to be able to do life with you on this go around with our next $1 billion company. So thank you so much, guys. God bless you all. And we'll definitely be in touch. Let's make it an incredible 90-day run up until Amplify.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.